NFL and the NBA in field goal percentage in the paint
Wow.
and get to the free throw line. He's averaging just over 1 free throw attempt per game. He shot 0 free throws in more games this year than he shot a single free throw.
You didn't
get to the line.
You don't like steal somebody's jump shot?
Listen, I got it. I understood the joke. I got it. I thought it was in poor form, to be totally honest with you.
And finally,
talk about it after the show.
Rockets beat the Cavaliers 117-113. James Harden had a triple-double. LeBron James did not have a triple-double. LeBron had 33 points, and he had 7 assists, but he also turned the ball over 9 times last night. Nick, what was your reaction to the Cavaliers' loss?
I had a bunch of reactions. Let me give them quickly here. One, this was a great basketball game. I understand the Cavs without Isaiah Thomas, but the Rockets without Chris Paul. Yeah. So they're both without their second best player. It was a fair matchup. This was a game that looked like it could turn into a blowout. It ended up not being a blowout. It was very entertaining second half. The Cavs lost this game because they didn't have Tristan Thompson. They got dominated on the offensive glass. Yeah. 17 offensive rebounds, which is a huge number for the Houston Rockets. 4 offensive rebounds for the Cleveland Cavaliers. And my other takeaway is the bearded guy, James Harden, a guy who in 2 of the last 3 years has been second in the MVP race. He had he hit the marks of at least 35 points, 10 assists, 10 rebounds, 5 steals. That's only been done once. Since 1989, it was by Michael Jordan. So Harden was extraordinary. The Rockets are a really good team.
Yeah, they are a good team. It was a great game. It had the type of
done once since 1989. It was by Michael Jordan. So Harden was extraordinary. The Rockets are a really good team.
Yeah, they are a good team. It was a great game. It had the type of intensity that we would want. Very few games we've seen early in the season have that type of intensity. Also, you have to give Cleveland a lot of credit. They were down by 20 early in the second quarter, and were able to come back, take the lead, and make this a very good basketball game. Jeff Green, from a positive standpoint, his impact on Cleveland has been significant. He's going to have to see more minutes. Also, the Cavs are going to struggle when Kevin Love is playing the 5. And as Nick mentioned, as far as the rebounding, when he's on the 5, that's pretty much the difference in rebounding. So it's going to be hard for them to win with this unit. And they're not getting Tristan back for at least another 4 to 5 weeks. And IT is not coming back at least until January.
One quick thing before we move on. How can you have a nickname like the bearded one? Like, you can't have a nickname about something that could change. It stresses me out.
He's not going to change it. What do you think he's going to do?
If he wakes up one day and takes the bearded off,
first of all, the bearded one is not his nickname.
Well,
I just called him.
No, it was. Rum calls it that all the time.
Okay, well, now I feel terribly if I'm sharing something with our friend Ryan Brumley. The last point, because you mentioned LeBron's 9 turnovers. LeBron had an 8 turnover game a week ago. I defended him. 6 of those turnovers were not on him. Last night, those turnovers were on LeBron. He still had 33 points on 63% shooting. He was excellent in other phases of the game. But those 9 turnovers hurt his team. That's something he's got to clean up. It was 1 off his career high mark from 12 years ago.
The beard.
The beard.
You can't be called the beard because you can shave it and then what are you? What happens to you, right? Am I right? At least someone's laughing. Back to the NFL. Good news and bad news.
They know you can't have
We're not laughing at you. You're laughing with me.
No.
The good news for the Seattle Seahawks, they beat the Cardinals in a game where Russell Wilson threw 2 touchdowns. The bad news for the Seattle Seahawks, they lost Richard Sherman for the season. Happened in the 3rd quarter when he ruptured his ailing Achilles.
I was never in a position where I had to make a super bad cut, or it would probably popped a long time ago. But I just thought I could get the ball, and once it popped, it's just unfortunate I couldn't make the tackle. Just got to stay positive. That's all you can do.
Thanks, Richard.
Thank you.
Anybody else coming in?
Love Richard Sherman. If there's a player out there that plays with heart every single game, it's Richard Sherman. All right, CC, how should the Seahawks feel after last night's, I would say, very bittersweet win?
Well, the style for which they play, the way the organization is put together, most of the talent either has been drafted or they've either traded or done some type of free agent acquisition. Pete Carroll and John Snyder, the general manager, they do one of the great jobs in the NFL as far as taking guys, developing their personalities, letting them be whoever they want to be. Marshawn Lynch, Richard Sherman is a great example. And other players, when you go there, they know that. But they also develop your skill level. And that's the thing that sets this organization. That's why they got to Super Bowls multiple times. Now, this hurts the team not only because of his overall playing ability, how he can shut down 1/3 of the field, but for the style for which they want to play. They have a very fast defense. The last 5 years, they have not given up more than 19 points a game, and a lot of that is because people like Richard Sherman, but it's coupled with Earl Thomas has missed the last 2 games. Cam Chancellor, he's the guy that can be replaced because he plays in the box. So now, when you look at their secondary, you can pick a spot. I can throw left. I can throw right. I just have to worry about the rush and make sure I have enough protectors. But you can go after Seattle now in their secondary like you couldn't have gone after them since they've been there.
This is a devastating injury for this team. We've talked about how there's 7 good NFC teams. Only 6 are going to make the playoffs. Seattle didn't have some big margin of error. In fact, they were already looking up at the Rams in their division. Seattle is built on their defense. 4 times this season, they've scored fewer than 17 points. They won 3 of those games. Why? Because of their defense. And now the emotional leader of their defense, if not the best player on the defense, is gone. And a guy they've never played without. That's the other key. They've played without Cam. Cam held out. Cam's been banged up. Cam Chancellor. They played without Earl. Earl broke his leg last year trying to make a tackle. They played without him. Richard Sherman has never missed a game in his NFL career. 105 straight games played going into last night, and that's where you see the emotion. Go ahead.
Yeah, and if you look at their roster, they got great depth defensively on the defensive line. Also, they just signed Dwight Freeney to be able to replace Cliff Averill, who was put on injury reserve. They have great depth at their linebackers and great talent. Where they don't have depth, that's in the secondary. And given this offense that is not great, how is that defense going to be able to lead them the way they have? I mean, the last 5 years, their defense and the ability to hold teams under 19 points for 5 straight years, I think 6 straight years, that's an incredible stat.
But also, if ever there was a team in this league, especially this year and last year, where there was an actual emphasis on emotion, right? Keeping this team together. There's so much fighting between the offense and defense on this team. We always hear about this. If Earl Thomas was your quarterback of the defense, this guy was your emotional leader on the whole team. And if ever there was someone to cross that line into the offense and say, guys, we'll do what you need to do, you do what you need to do, we're going to all, that was this guy. And it's a big loss for them.
And all year long we've been debating who is the best team in the NFL. Well, I now know it without any question, without any argument. The best team in the NFL is the all-injury team. They got a first-team All-Pro quarterback, Aaron Rodgers. First-team All-Pro running back in David Johnson. Left tackle, Joe Thomas. How about on the defense? You got J.J. Watt. You got Richard Sherman. You got Eric Berry. You have Pro Bowl-level players Odell Beckham Jr. is your wide receiver. All over the field. It is such a shame. This week it's Richard Sherman, but every week it feels like a marquee guy. Not a lot of NFL players are in commercials. You know what I mean? With
a speaking role.
Right, with a speaking role in commercials. Almost all those guys, except for Tom Brady, are going to finish this season on IR. It stinks.
We have a very, very special Hall of Fame hands today. Take a look.
Without these hands, I don't know what I'd do.
Push yourself! Fires a deep. What a catch! Greatest catch I've ever seen!
One of the greatest catches you'll ever see. Watch it carefully now. Watch it.
I didn't even... How did that happen? Jenna.
I thought I got hit. I was like, I was hit. I'm hit.
How are you going to catch something knocking it this way? What kind of display is that? I mean, who's your high school coach, son? What about your fundamental? No, first of all, this is where you have to stop, okay? On your throw, throw it in front of you where your eyes can see it. You keep throwing it back over your head, and then you bend back like this with that bad shoulder.
And then you swap at it.
Because then when I... Give me that.
No.
Because then when I catch it...
No, Nick.
Damn.
Don't do it. It's like this.
So
you just put it up and then you...
Oh, there you go.
Anyone can catch it like that,
Now if you can just get up and
I'm
start...
trying to...
Jenna, there you go. Put that...
Do that.
Jenna, give it to him.
Hold it.
Hold that boy.
Hold it.
Hold that boy.
I'm not holding that L.
Throw that out.
Get your... Fake.
We have to go to break. Otherwise, we would do this for the next 3 minutes. We're back after this.
Again.
First things first. 1,